Hello, welcome, I'm Sim UK, and this is my Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord review from Tailwords Entertainment. It was released on the 30th of March 2020, and they did that a day early for the community. It's priced at $39.99, and on the release week there was a 10% discount. But honestly, this is an investment worthy of such a price tag. What I really didn't want to do with this review was just release a 10-minute generic, yeah, this game is brilliant, go and buy it, half-assed kind of review. Instead, I really wanted to try and highlight as many of the good and some of the less good points about the game. Usually my review's length is relative to the size of the game that I'm playing. I really cannot do that with Bannerlord because the review would just be hours upon hours long. There are just so many layers here, so many things to talk about, so many things to discuss. To be honest, the game is so big and there is so much to talk about that I know I'm going to forget to mention something. So please do let me know in the comments anything that you think I have missed. Mountain Blade as a series has been around since 2008, and if you went and installed the original Mountain Blade game today, you would probably find that it's still an incredibly playable and enjoyable experience. And that is why there is such a huge and dedicated hardcore fan base for the Mountain Blade series. Now, because of its hardcore player base, it was absolutely imperative that Bannerlord stayed true to the original. Yes, changes were definitely needed and expected, but it mustn't come at the expense of the core gameplay. Understandably, for those long-term players who had been waiting patiently for the 2020 release of the latest rendition called Bannerlord, it was with bated breath. Thankfully, core gameplay and the features from those much-loved originals have been retained, and the improvements and enhancements have also added something new and rewarding in all of the right areas. Upgrades to the audio, the graphics and the UI have sat very well with the long-term player base, and the transition from Warband to Bannerlord has been nothing short of seamless. I have taken my time to formulate something hopefully you'll find to be concise, as best as I can manage in these difficult times, and this review has been especially difficult to write. This is my third attempt at it. And the reason why it's been so difficult is because Bannerlord is just so feature-rich and unbelievably deep. It's an all-encompassing and combined RPG, FPS, RTS and medieval battle strategy title. The game is what gaming should be all about. It's a game made for gamers by gamers, passionate people for who the financial gain is not the primary driving force. Instead, their goal is to deliver the best gameplay experience, and experience that can really last a lifetime. That's what you're paying for here, and that, thankfully, is what you're going to get. Let me put it this way, there sure as hell won't be a Bannerlord 2 coming out in 2021. But instead, Bannerlord will have evolved, it will have improved and expanded to become an even better game than it is today. We're already seeing constant patches and updates coming thick and fast, and some excellent mods are appearing already. This game is in early access, and it's one of the best games I've ever played. Bannerlord is amazing, truly spectacular, and at times even breathtaking. And despite all of the bugs, the repetitious quests, and the lack of some features, the overall experience is excellent. So if you're a fan of the original Mountain Blade and you don't already own this title, then make sure you put this in your basket. You won't be disappointed. If, however, you are new to the game, then prepare yourself for an epic gaming experience. It can deliver something exceptional for you. In Bannerlord, you'll start by creating your character. You can choose between numerous characteristics, traits, and even background stories, all of which shape and alter your character's ability to perform in certain areas of the game. Horsemanship will boost your riding experience, a history of working on farms can boost your stamina, and intellectual abilities can sway your favour in conversation. Every decision and every choice you make actually means something here. Regardless of which initial character choices you make, you will ultimately start with very low stats, abilities and renown, but every single stat can be improved upon. Life is mostly spent traversing the map, trading between cities and recruiting men from small villages as you go. Then it's about leading those men into battles against local bandits, and this will not only boost your weapons handling, accuracy and perhaps even horsemanship, but it would also boost your renown and your clan morale too. Not forgetting of course that the men in your clan will also gain experience and eventually start to rank up themselves. That is of course entirely dependent on the fact that you actually win. And winning is not as simple as it seems. I have myself gotten overconfident at times with a clan of 20 plus men, and I attacked a small band of 5 steep mountain bandits. This turns out this was a terrible mistake, as they were all on horseback and they simply circled my men, killing them one by one with their bows and arrows until they ran out, and then they simply finished off the remaining few with their swords and spears. Took me prisoner until I finally managed to escape. Another way to increase your renown and earn favour is to complete quests for lords and townsfolk. Quests can range from training local militia to locating a missing daughter, and even when you accept a task you can still opt to switch allegiance midway through, or if your charisma is strong enough you can perhaps negotiate a situation where everyone walks away with their lives. And sometimes you can't. Completing these quests can become repetitive, as at the moment there are only a handful of quests which do get repeated often. Bring me some sheep, some ore, or help me defeat the local baddies who are pushing in on my turf. Thankfully you can recruit companions. Companions are like enhanced AI characters. Each has their own backstory and specialised skill set. You can opt to send one of them with an appropriate handful of men in order to complete these missions on your behalf, making it far less repetitive. Either way, your job as leader of the clan is to maintain enough food and supplies for everyone. Rank your men up when you can and choose your battles wisely. Irrespective of what you choose to do, how you choose to do it, every decision you make will be relevant and you will need to keep abreast of the world around you, which is effectively doing the same thing as you. Allegiances are formed and broken, wars are fought and lost, and both friends and foes can die at any moment, which often unlocks a new era of uncertainty and unpredictability as their children take over control. The game is extremely vast and interwoven. You never really know what might happen next, and the new UI system is integral to keeping you abreast of each situation. The improvements over the original games are substantial, but they're not groundbreaking. They barely even reach modern day standards, yet they are still good enough. And if the choice is between top graphics and 1,000 men in a battle, I know what makes me happier. The castles, the landscapes, the changing seasons are all improved, and it's really great to see. The lighting at times is simply gorgeous. It can really get you going when there is an early sunrise or a lone sunset just before a battle. The character faces and overall animations are more realistic, they offer greater customization, and the AI faces and characters have also been better represented. The map is simply glorious, it's beautifully detailed, and you can zoom all the way in or expand all the way out freely. The maps and individual battle locations are affected by seasons too, and they are vast. Vast enough indeed for a 1,000-man battle to commence with plenty of space to spare. In a 1,000-man battle, I'm holding a decent 30 FPS and above. This is still in early access. I would expect to see this improve. But for my 1080 Ti and my i7-9800K running at 4.9 GHz, it doesn't really feel like it's working too hard. So I really do think there's room for improvement here. Even as it is right now, it is working fine, but sieges are a little less impressive with AI limitations and bugs still requiring some attention. One thing I would say about the game is the loading screens, especially when you want to go into a town and talk to somebody. It just seems to take too long. Something really needs to be improved in this regard. The single-player concept is a wonderful concoction of RPG, RTS, strategy and FPS combat. Certain decisions by you will shape and guide the outcome of the actual storyline in the game, and combat is frequent enough to be a highlight. Multiplayer is still in early access, but already shaping up to be bloody, intense and frustrating in all of the right ways. There are some issues with unit balancing in my humble opinion, and perhaps some combat issues among other missing features, but you really do need to experience it firsthand to really know how awesome it is. The game's audio has also improved. I think there's much more which could have been done here. I don't feel quite as immersed as I feel I could be, in the way that only amazing audio can really provide. The snow crunching under your feet, more city sounds, or birds singing and tweeting before a battle will all do huge amounts to add to the audio immersion. 99% of the game is written text, but there are a few moments where characters who are voiced, and for those, the acting is actually really good. I'd go so far as to say it's sublime. I find it odd though that they have yet to approach literally hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who would willingly offer their voice for free to add that extra layer of depth to the game. Maybe in time modding will gain access to this part of the game, but I suspect another area where more could be done in the future. Now the music in this game is nothing short of wonderful. Some of it is better than others, but some of it is just wowza. UI is a tricky thing to get right, and although this UI is majestically good at storing and providing the information you need at all times, there are a few areas where I think some tweaks could improve things just a little bit more. For example, when you're getting inside info about trade opportunities, each of the recommended towns should, in my opinion, be clickable. Yes, you can go and search for them manually, but the ability to just click and see where a town or city you don't particularly know is located, that could really help you decide whether or not that particular item is viable or not. It's a small tweak that reduces the number of clicks and time required in order to expand your knowledge of the world that you're playing in. Simple little changes like this can make a big difference. Equally when hunting down lords, because let's face it, they're hardly ever, if ever, at home, it would be helpful to get a little more info. They were last seen at this location, heading this way, or they're touring the provinces, making sure everybody's okay. In the original Mount & Blade, I'm pretty sure you would get a comment like, they're hunting near a location, so you go and look in the woods. Something like that would be just a little more helpful at times. And why not introduce Raven messaging? This saves you having to talk face to face all the time. You could even agree to meet in a certain location at a certain time in order to do that if it was necessary. Of course, this would involve waiting around a little bit, so there is that to take into consideration. Castle ownership unlocks even more options for you and allows the opportunity for you to declare your own faction or declare complete independence. If you make good choices, battle well, and form the right allegiances, then you too can form your own faction, have your own castles, and even your own armies to fight your battles for you. And it is most certainly on the battlefield, but this game is the most rewarding. So there is a tutorial in this game, and the tutorial is completely optional. You don't have to engage in it. But as it's an RPG, it actually starts the story off really well. It's completely seamless. Bannerlord is not something you can master in just a single trip through the tutorial, though. This game is way, way deeper than that. Whilst it's not historically accurate, but it is historically inspired, and it accurately conveys medieval combat really quite well, with various inspirations guiding unit and faction weaponry and styles. Large battles and commander controls are also pretty wonderful, enhanced by using third-party tools like voice attack for it. Bannerlord is just so much fun to play, with huge emphasis on the battles and the combat. But that is just one small part of this colossal title. There is a whole world which ebbs and flows around you, with artificial real-time economics and trading, power grabs and relationships to consider. And that's before we even talk about weapons, armour, equipment, not forgetting clan options, man management, blacksmithing. Bannerlord is gargantuan, and that is where I, as a player, often come unstuck. The game is so vast, so complex, and so interconnected that you are likely to come to a point where you just become totally overwhelmed, and you just get lost in all the details. Such and such has just been taken prisoner. Do I care? Do I know who that is? I have to then go and research who this person is in order to work out how I'm supposed to react to it. It can get pretty intense. You need to know who is related to who is allied to who, and who do you actually want to ally with. It's not just a random irrelevant choice. Every decision you make can have both positive and negative repercussions. What I love most about this game is the complexity. There are so many variables in play at any one time. The weapons you use, the quality of those weapons, your skill at using those weapons, your armour, your speed, the environment in which you're fighting. There are absolutely no guarantees. Hello, darling. Hello. I'm doing a review right now. Yeah. What I love most about this game is the complexity. There are so many variables in play at any one time. The weapons that you use, the quality of those weapons, your skill at using those weapons, your armour, your speed, the environment in which you are fighting, there are just no guarantees. In battles though, I do find the pace is a bit too slow and also a bit too fast. Bannerlord still lacks the ability to sprint, and I think that's a massive shame. I'm happy to have sprint speed and distance dictated by personal ability, personal fitness, plus the weight of your armour, etc., how much damage you've taken. I just think being able to sprint a short distance for a short amount of time, less so, or maybe not even at all if you're in full armour, but certainly being able to move fast in order to put an extra strong power attack in is just, it makes sense to me. And whilst controlling units is great fun, especially when you introduce voice attack, movement is limited to running all of the time, which, if you consider my previous point, is kind of ironic. I really want the ability to be able to move forward at walking pace and then charge when I feel that the time is right, but unfortunately this simply is not an option right now. In addition to those missing features, the AI will 99% out of 100, that doesn't make sense, the AI will 99 times out of 100 attack rather unrealistically. More often than not, they will immediately charge at you. No arrow volleys to thin you out, just an all-out charge from 500 meters away. They might send in the horse archers first and hold the main army back, but either way, there's still no time to plan your battle, no strategy analysis is permitted, and there's no time to prepare your army. I also feel that there needs to be an option to tell archers to avoid hand-to-hand combat, asking them to simply fall back as needed. When it all kicks off, it's actually super hard to see who is who, especially when you turn off the little markers on their head like I do. However, there are some great mods available already now which improve this with real banners. I think there's one between 10 men or something like that, and really and truly it looks awesome. Overall, the battles are great, but they could be improved with the features mentioned above, plus I'm sure you can think of 100 more. But overall, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Now, UI is a tricky thing to design. They've done a great job here, especially when you consider all of the information and the ever-changing content which needs to be displayed to you at a moment's notice. Some areas could be improved, like, as I said earlier, when you get a tip for a trade sale. But overall, it's a very, very decent UI system. I'm really, really impressed with it. Mods are something which kept the original Mount and Blade game going for 10 years. I expect there to be even more mods coming forward for this game. And the game is still evolving in itself into a final product, a target which might never be realised. They could be working on Bannerlord for the next 10 years and it would just keep getting better and better and better. The price is quite high, it's up there with AAA games, but unlike AAA games, this game will deliver over and over again. Year after year, this game will still feel fresh and rewarding. And with mods and the potential there, this game is almost unlimited in terms of how much you can get out of it. How many hours of play would I say this game can offer you? Let me see. Weeks. No, months. No. Years. Quite honestly, years. This game could deliver for years. So replayability is there. There's new characters, new playstyle approaches, new factions, mods, multiplayer. There's just an unbelievable number of options and replayability options available to you. And it's going to be further enhanced even more by more mods which will be coming, I have no doubt at all. So overall, guys, this is how I would sum the game up. The horse animations are certainly not as good as Red Dead. When that horse jumps, it looks awful. Doesn't even look particularly good in Red Dead, but Red Dead horse animation is definitely better than it is here. The RTS battle strategy, it's not as good as Total War. You have far more control over your units in Total War. And the storylines and the graphics, they're not as immersive or as good as they are in Kingdom Come Deliverance. But what Bannerlord does is offer very decent representations of all of those things in one place, in one game, in one environment, and that is quite an accomplishment. And this game really does deliver on so many levels, and it's just going to get better. There's things I would like to see changed. If there was one thing I could have changed in this game, it would be the ability to sprint short distances. I think that would make an enormous difference. But other than that, wow, they've really done a great job here. Well done, guys. Well done.